For generations, the image of prehistoric women has been fixed in our minds. Passive gatherers who stayed close to the cave while men ventured out to hunt mammoths. But recent discoveries are shattering that stereotype. Archaeological evidence now shows that women in prehistoric times were not just gatherers. They were hunters, toolmakers, and art. One of the most striking examples comes from a 9,000-year-old burial site in Peru, where a woman was found buried with a full hunting toolkit, spear points, knives, and animal. This burial challenges the old narrative and forces us to rethink the roles of women in ancient societies. They were not secondary characters. They were central to survival and culture. But a wave of new archaeological discoveries is shattering this stereotype. Evidence suggests that cave women were far stronger and more active than we ever imagined. Studies of ancient bones reveal that prehistoric women had arm bones comparable to elite female athletes. They were not just gathering berries. They were hunting, climbing, and fighting. In fact, some researchers now believe that women were the inventors of many crucial tools. The first slings, nets, and even the spear thrower may have been their creations. This new understanding doesn't diminish the role of men, but it paints a more complete picture of our shared past. Both men and women were survivors, innovators, and hunters. Ever imagined? Recent studies of Upper Paleolithic skeletons reveal that women's arm bones were exceptionally robust, comparable to elite female athletes. The muscle attachment sites show that these women engaged in strenuous, repetitive activities like hide scraping and plant processing from a young age. Their daily labor was not just domestic. It was physically demanding work that shaped their very bones. This evidence challenges the long-held assumption that prehistoric women were merely passive gatherers, while men were the active hunters. The reality was far more complex and egalitarian. The division of labor was likely fluid, with women hunting, making tools, and leading rituals. The archaeological record is finally being read without the bias of modern gender roles. Indicate powerful upper bodies, capable of throwing spears and processing hides. In fact, analysis of a 9,000-year-old burial in the Andes revealed a woman buried with hunting tools, suggesting she was a big-game hunter. This challenges the traditional view that only men hunted. The evidence is clear. Women were not just gatherers. They were hunters, warriors, and leaders. This burial is just one of many examples. Across the globe, from the Americas to Eurasia, female skeletons with hunting injuries and grave goods tell the same story. The idea of man the hunter, woman the gatherer is a modern myth, not a prehistoric reality. The past was far more complex and far more equal than we once believed. Hunting tools, such as projectile points and knife blades, suggesting she was a big-game hunter. Furthermore, cave paintings and figurines depict women in dynamic poses, not passive or submissive roles. These findings challenge the traditional narrative of a strict gender-based division of labor in prehistoric times. The idea that men were the sole providers and women the sole caregivers is being replaced by a more nuanced understanding of shared responsibilities. Just nurturing roles. The famous Venus figurines, once thought to be fertility symbols, may actually represent strong, powerful women. A 2020 study of European Paleolithic found that these figurines were carved during periods of extreme food stress, suggesting they represented not fertility but survival and resilience. These carvings may have been symbols of female authority, passed down through generations as emblems of wisdom and leadership. This challenges the modern assumption that prehistoric women were passive. Instead, they were likely active leaders, hunters, and decision-makers in their communities. Art found multiple depictions of women holding spears or participating in hunt scenes. This evidence challenges the long-held notion of strict gender roles in prehistoric societies. These findings suggest that women were not only gatherers, but also active hunters and warriors. This forces us to rethink our assumptions about the division of labor in early human history. It appears that survival demanded everyone contribute to the fullest. Women's skeletons also show healed injuries consistent with hunting accidents, and their teeth wear patterns. Indicate that they were processing tough plant materials, possibly for making ropes, nets, or baskets. These weren't just domestic chores, They were essential technologies for survival. Meanwhile, the men's skeletons show a different pattern of wear and tear. Their injuries are more concentrated on the upper body. Broken ribs, collarbones, and arm fractures, consistent with close quarters hunting of large animals. This division of labor wasn't rigid, it was practical. Everyone did what they could when they could. But the bones tell us that over generations, certain tasks fell more often to certain people, shaping the very structure of prehistoric society. Suggest they processed tough materials like sinew and hides. So were cave women stronger than we thought? The answer is a resounding yes, they were not. Just gatherers and caregivers. They were hunters, tool makers, and the backbone of survival. The unsung heroes of prehistory. Their strength and skill kept the species alive. But they were not just mothers and gatherers. They were hunters, warriors, and the backbone of their communities. Our prehistoric past was far more egalitarian than we once believed. Women tracked game, set traps, and even led hunting parties. They were the backbone of their communities, shaping survival and culture alike.